Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dorothy here from the CCMA. You're very welcome to this morning's webinar, and you'll see we have a host of guests this morning, which we're delighted with. So you'll see Brian, Noreen and Aisling from Abtran, who I will introduce shortly to you formally, and obviously Niamh, as always, WSI in the background to help us out. Not sure what part of the country you might be in this morning, but I gather the weather in Cork is lovely, and I'm here in Kildare, and Niamh is in Dublin. It's not great, which is typical for a Friday. But we're here this morning to obviously hear from the team in Abtran, and the webinar title is Managing Relationships and Performance in the Virtual Contact Centre. I think a really interesting topic, and as you will know, Abtran were the winners of the award for Outsourced Partnership of the year last year at the CCMA Awards, and we're back in that time of the year again, which is great, and I'll mention a little bit about it at the end of today's webinar. But what Aisling and the team are going to speak about this morning is the challenges around cultivating a strong and long-lasting client relationship, the controls they've put in place, the new virtual contact centre and how that works, and the drive to digital, which I think all of our members are in the middle of at the moment. And really valuably, they're going to talk to us about people engagement and development to provide value to clients. So a really interesting webinar this morning. And as always, we are recording it, so it will be available to you for later if you want to come back and have a look at it. And as always, we'd like to encourage some questions, comments, observations. So please feel free to send them through as we go through the webinar, and I can put them to the team from Abtran at the end of this morning's webinar. So I'm going to hand over formally to Aisling Deasy, CEO of Abtran. And Aisling, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Really looking forward to this webinar and to getting some really valuable insights from you and Brian and Noreen. So I'll hand over, I'll close off my camera, and I'll come back at the end with any questions. So thanks again, Aisling.
Hey, thanks, Dorothy, and good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to have this opportunity this morning to talk to you, I suppose, what we refer to as our accelerated journey to a virtual contact centre, and certainly to a large extent accelerated by the impact of COVID, but very much looking to talk to really, I suppose, where we're positioned now, and based on our experiences this far, how we see it as we look forward into the future. And again, I suppose referring to Dorothy's point, have been delighted to accept the Outsourced Partner of the Year award last year. I suppose part of it is around the strength of our relationships and sustaining the strong client relationships and the role that played in our journey through the last 18 months and as we look forward. I'm joined today by Brian Mahony, who's our Service Delivery Director responsible for transport, which includes the Road Safety Authority, which is the client that we were successful with our award last year, and Noreen O'Sullivan, our Head of HR, who's responsible for driving our people agenda, which is obviously a key part of ensuring success as we've moved into and evolved into a work from home model. Just before we get into, I suppose, the agenda at hand, to tell you a little bit more about Abtran, for anybody who doesn't know us that well. We're an Irish-owned company in the business process outsourcing space with over 1,500 employees across Ireland. We're founded now almost 25 years ago with just 6 people, and we've grown over that time period into the largest provider of business process outsourced services as an Irish, still Irish owned and headquartered company out of Cork. We have teams across the country and have, I suppose, grown and evolved our operational sites from Cork into Sligo and a site in Maynooth. But now we've moved into a much more, I suppose, spread geography footprint with regional hubs that kind of aligns with our whole move and journey to more working from home, which we'll talk a bit more about as we get into the presentation. So in the next slide then, I suppose this is how we, this is a visual that we often show and share, and really gives a flavour for the scope of services that we offer as a business. We operate across utilities sector, the transport sector, the financial services sector, and a lot of government administration support services. So we say we do touch, I suppose, have touch points daily with all people and households across Ireland. really servicing, I suppose, the needs of our people in day-to-day interactions across those sectors. I think before I hand over to Brian and we start talking to, I suppose, more into the journey that we've been on over the last 18 months, we did, I suppose, the impact of COVID really did require our business to move in a matter of weeks, really into an almost full work from home operating model. I suppose pre-COVID, we would have been organised and operating by requirement, contract requirement and plan to have the main operational services set up in large, dedicated, secured operational sites. And very quickly, we had to transform that overnight into a much more flexible model that had work from home inherent in it. I think certainly if we think back, a lot has changed in such a short space of time. But when we think back, I suppose, to the early parts of last year, we did initially move to what would have been traditionally our business continuity response plan. We'd have always had secondary sites for BCP seats available for all of our client service operations. So we quickly were working with our clients to reorganize our teams to make sure that we had no kind of single site point of failure. But as we heard more and more and began to understand more and more the impact of COVID and the nature of the virus, we very much understood between ourselves and our clients and our people that if we were going to sustain service and service continuity, we had to quickly get into this work from home model. There's certainly some, I suppose, core operational pillars that all had to work seamlessly in that model, working across technologies, our security standards and controls, our operational delivery and performance, and then fundamentally our people. So for us, and I think that's going to be a focus of today, I think for us, fundamentally, our success was down to people, and for us, it was our own teams and the complete flexibility and support shown by our people right across the board in every part of our business in working together in a very short space of time, really with the, I suppose, the shared ambition that we needed to make this work and removed what might have been previously considered barriers to moving to a work from home model given the sector that we were in. But when we all put our minds to it and knew that it was existential to make this work and keep ourselves safe through COVID, it was something that we achieved very successfully. The other part for us when we talk about people is obviously as an outsourced provider, our relationship with our client and our client key stakeholders is fundamental. So that's, I suppose, that other dimension of people was fundamental to our success. So I'm going to hand over to Brian Mahony now, who's going to talk a bit more into our client relationship and I suppose the effectiveness of that as it has had to evolve in recent times. Over to you, Brian.
Thank you, Aisling. My name is Brian Matheny. I've worked with Abtran now for about 2.5 years, and I look after both financial services and the transport, as Aisling said. It was with the RSA that we actually won Partnership of the Year award, and it is, those principles that of building, maintaining, evolving, and growing the relationship, they are grounded in the values of Abtran really. And that's about being open with our people, being open with our clients, challenging each other on an ongoing basis, making it easy for customers, clients, and ourselves to make sure, as Aisling said, that this thing works, right? Sharing the know-how across the teams, the client knows what we're doing, we all know what we're doing. And then connecting both at a professional level, connecting on a personal level, connecting as a team, right, throughout the whole thing. And these are the same principles that are underpinning the relationship with our clients and with our colleagues. If we move on there, next slide. What we do for the RSA, we process driving applications from the first-time learner permits to HVG drivers. So we issue about 700,000 licenses a year. It's an extremely regulated industry governed by both Irish and European legislation. But customer service and customer satisfaction is still at the core of what we do. The client has been with Abtran for nearly 10 years at this stage. And over that time, in partnership with the RSA, the license issuing process has evolved from being a totally paper-based application process, which required all applicants to attend in person in their local licensing office and submit an application, to now where people can complete that application sitting on the couch at home, and the license is issued in a lot of cases without need for human intervention. The services which we provide include the multi-channel contact management, calls, email, chat, social media, and we maintain the social media for our client within the RSA licensing area, all back office processing and document management, court case management, court order disqualifications when that happens as well, along with the CRM systems, the back office, front office, and online systems. They are all maintained by Abtran. And the standards by which we measure our success, and this is the standard, success criteria across all accounts really, is, but for us, it's 99% of applications are processed within 3 days. 80% of calls are answered within 20 seconds. System availability for online 24/7 and for the front office systems. And the numbers of drivers applying for the licenses online. And that has moved from pre-lockdown, pre-COVID, from 0 to now over 40% of applications are now coming directly online. So that has seen a huge change in what we do, but based on the principles that we have built that relationship with the client. And how has that happened? Moving from governing principles to how we manage the multifaceted relationship. And I call it a multifaceted relationship because we deal with a very large number of stakeholders within the RSA. The main aim of the RSA is to enhance road safety in this country and reduce the number of deaths and serious injuries on our roads. The regulation and the licensing of drivers is one small element of that. So we need to deal with a myriad of stakeholders within the RSA. That includes the operations, the licensing operations within the RSA, the media teams across the whole breadth of the RSA, including social media, and the IT guys, systems, infrastructure teams within the RSA and within the DVCSD and the Department of Transport. But all that starts with communication and really gaining an understanding of the needs, hopes, and vision of the client so that we can tell each other, right, what we really want, what is possible and what is not possible. And that allows us to build a strategy with the client. The vision is put down on paper. Timelines are applied to it, budgets are applied to it, and then that drives us to innovate together to achieve that vision. And out of that working together really, in my view, comes true partnership. The principles are underscored by the standard operational governance tools, including what you would expect, the SLA measurement, the shared vision of digital transformation goals, positive and sometimes robust communications, and that can be on both sides. We need to challenge each other. We need to challenge to ensure that we continue to provide the service that we require for our applicants. When we look at the arrival of COVID, which is on the next slide, our worlds changed completely. We had to move into this virtual world. Virtual training became a reality, virtual performance management, and virtual support for our colleagues. Timely, we were ready for this with our Drive to Digital programme with the RSA. We had the tools in place to allow our customers apply online. The CRM system allowed our colleagues remote access and to work from home. When we talk about user adoption, we're talking about both sides here, both the applicants using the digital platform and the team. And as I said, we have over 40% now of applications coming through online, and 75% of our team at this point in time working from home, processing those applications. But the principle here is, by tracking with a laser focus on simplifying the customer journey, it has provided us with a win-win situation, making it easy for our applicants to apply for licenses and strategic alignment with our client. And this is all done in conjunction with our teams. And I will now hand over to Noreen, who'll bring you through some of the work and the strategy there. Noreen.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, I'm Noreen. Good morning. I'm head of HR here in Abtran. So I'd just like to talk you through the process we've just recently, I suppose, finalised, I hope, at this point in time, to mobilise our team so that we can go into a permanent working from home setup. I guess people are always at the centre of what we do here in Abtran. And earlier this year, preempting the eventual lift of restrictions, we surveyed our people to ask them and to allow them to have a voice in how we deliver our services. And you'll notice here on this slide, 88% of our people expressed a desire to continue to work permanently from home. Obviously, this triggered for us, a quick response to mobilise all of our systems to ensure that we could move forward with a permanent working from home offering. We went out through our talent acquisition team to attract people to take up a permanent working from home contract. But in tandem with that, we also went out to our people to offer them the opportunity to express their wish as to whether they would like to remain working from home permanently or to come back to the office when the restrictions eventually lift. This has worked very well for us in that it lends itself very well to retention, the work-life balance. I think over the period of COVID, we've all reconsidered our work-life balance, and people that want to continue working on from home, it has obviously worked for them. It saves the commute, obviously, on a wet winter morning, which we'll be heading into soon. It saves the commute, but it also allows people to work for us that might not normally have been able to work for us, those that might not have transport, or those that might not be in the vicinity of one of our sites. So this is working really well for us from a talent acquisition perspective and from a retention perspective. So what did we prioritise in that working group? I suppose firstly and most importantly, all the key stakeholders were at the table in designing our plans to continue working from home permanently. That would have included the operations, HR, health and safety had a big role to play in that, learning and development, workforce management from a scheduling perspective. We were all at the table looking at how we could best ensure that our staff could stay working at home, be safe in their working at home, have an enjoyable work-life balance, and continue to contribute to the Abtran services. Our onboarding and induction journey, we've redesigned that from the very outset. I suppose we understood that those that are coming on board to us in a new manner now, whereby they're picking up a kit and going home, We want that experience to be as good as it possibly can for these new people joining our business. We understand the nervousness of a lot of people joining a new job, and we understand the supports we need to give to them, along with the training, of course, and with, there's some technical glitches sometimes on day one, but just supporting them through all of that journey. We've redesigned completely our induction program. Whilst induction has been virtual for the past 18 months, we're looking forward now. This is our new way of working. So we've redesigned it completely. Our learning and development team, again, engaging with all the key stakeholders. We've worked tirelessly to ensure that it's an engaging process, that people feel a sense of belonging, and we're working and endeavouring to ensure that all our processes going forward continue to keep our people attached to Abtran, that they feel connected with us. And the next point there, the communications are key. We're working, and I don't think I could say we have finished designing all the best ways that we can communicate. We're constantly reevaluating how we measure the effectiveness of our communication. A lot of this goes down to performance management and remotely performing somebody. This is a challenge I think that some managers were quite nervous about. I did get asked on more than one occasion, if they're not performing at home, can we bring them into the office? The answer, of course, is no. If they're not performing at home, they need to be managed in their performance at home. So people working at home, whilst it's a different setup, the work relationship should be the same. We're also working on designing training and support for our managers to help them to stay connected with their teams and to measure the performance of their teams. The long-time working from home policy, again, we've painstakingly gone through this to ensure that we've covered all angles on it, from the health and safety implications. I think in 2020, we all adopted work from home policies from the national policy that was issued to help businesses in this new era for us. But we've gone through that with a fine-tooth comb to ensure that it is very clear and very well defined, and that people understand what the expectation is of them as they work from home, but also what our expectation is. And you've all the logistical things of, adverse weather, what happens if you have a power outage at home. So just to cover every angle on it. And again, health and safety very much involved in, doing workplace assessments with their people, etc. Easy access to information, again, just so that people know where to go for what they need. We redesigned and rewrote our employee handbook and launched that just very recently, just again to ensure that it was very comprehensive, but that it and all the policies that link into it cater for the working from home. So different examples of performance management and how do you engage now with your line manager that you're working from home. So again, re-examining all of that. And whilst we've finalised those, and they're operational at the minute, we will be continuously reviewing them, because I think as we become more comfortable with the working from home setting, managing our people, ensuring that their performance, if I can go on to the next slide, Niamh, just ensuring that performance remains at an optimal level, we need to ensure that we communicate well and train well. So the operational performance, again, we in HR work very closely with the operation in Abtran. Our team members, the engagement is so important at this minute. And actually, it's very interesting. I've been sitting on induction just to introduce HR, in the past few weeks, when we have people who are coming on board with a permanent working from home contract. And a lot of the questions are, how do I get to speak to my colleagues? When do I speak to my manager? So those people want to know how they can stay connected with us. We always did have scheduled one-to-one sessions with our people, but I guess now that we are, remote, you do miss, I guess, those interactions in the office where you meet somebody in the canteen or, at the water cooler, as they say. So, we're very keen to ensure that not only is there the scheduled one-to-one sessions, but that our people managers are linking in with their people regularly and supporting them. But we in turn are supporting the managers, of course, also this is new for a lot of them as well. We have additional wellness breaks as well. This went down very well actually last year as we went into working from home. Back in early 2020, as we all did, we did understand that there was a readjustment period for people, you know, and as people rebalanced and adapted to the new way of working, we did, you know, just give this extra well-being break, you know, so people can get up. And I think it's nice when you're at home. We've all probably experienced when you get up for your cup of coffee, you can step out in the garden, which is nice, you know. So that has gone down very well and has been received very well. We have team building events. Interestingly, actually, events that we have been sponsoring through our CSR events have almost been team building events now that people are remote. It is an opportunity for people from different operations to link in together, you know, and again have that sense of belonging with Abtran. We've recently had a marketing event here where our team supported it, and again it was almost like a social event in itself, as well as the good doing that the fundraising did. Easy access to communications. Again, we're revisiting, even from a HR perspective, just revisiting the HR and intranet pages. You know, they're more user friendly. There's more information available, and we direct people. And video communications. Our senior leadership team would always have town hall meetings, etc. And these obviously have been virtual for the past several months. We've noticed attendance at these has increased. You know, people want to be connected with their employer, I think, and they want to know what's going on, you know, so attendance, again, that's working very well, and it just retains that connection, which is just so important. From a performance management perspective, you know, we're working on this still. I'm working with the managers, and you know, lots of questions of, you know, how do we address things, but it is, and Brian would be very familiar with the operational side of the managing performance, the metrics that we use. But again, I'm working very closely with our people managers on how you have those conversations, you know, and that they're meaningful, you know, and that we get good results out of them. And we will talk in a moment just about the performance through the working from home. Training, quality and coaching, again, we're pushing so much emphasis on this now. It is very important that our teams are supported, that, you know, they get the learning that they need so that they have a good career with Abtran, they have good career pathways here, you know, and we support them through it. You know, just in the interest of time, I might go on to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. Did you want to run the poll here, Noreen?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry, Niamh. That would be great. Yeah. So I guess, yeah. Do you want to go with that, Niamh? So we're just very interested in your views on, has working from home in your business improved productivity, decreased productivity, or has it stayed the same? I guess here in Abtran, we have been pleasantly surprised in our productivity throughout. I suppose, you know, I think it was Brian that said yesterday, actually, throughout COVID, we really were business as usual, even though we were in our business through COVID period. It was business as usual, you know, the doors weren't open, certainly the business was open, and our teams have performed and they have delivered for us throughout the past 18 months, and will continue to do so. Improved productivity, that's just, you know, that speaks for itself. I think work-life balance for many years has been so high on the HR agenda. You know, I think that this period of time has proved to us the importance of it. And I'm delighted to see so many people have had, you know, very few have a decreased productivity. But I would encourage you, if you do have a decreased productivity, I think performance management, you know, it is key to support your managers so that they know how to manage poor performance at home and they know how to identify it. We have a slide here just on the analysis of the performance throughout the year in 2020. And I don't know, Aisling, do you want to comment somewhat on that?
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the response to the poll there, because certainly our experience, and it was something we were asked quite a lot, and actually now that I suppose restrictions are easing, we we're getting asked quite a lot again, well, you know, why stay working from home if we don't need to? Can you really survive it? Are the teams performing? Is there an impact on productivity? And really our view and experience, and you know, we continue to monitor data and look for kind of data evidenced information and decision making. And really for us, it averages out across the business. We kind of look at it there, just presented across the business overall, and just a view from a more of a sector profile. But really for us, it comes back to obviously we had to adapt our ways of working, excuse me, and obviously we still need to manage performance. And we needed to adapt our methods and our training and capabilities across our people to ensure that was in place, fit for purpose. But when it is, very much productivity has not been an issue that we would attribute to working from home, that can be achieved better on site. And certainly I think it goes against, I think, how our teams have adapted and ensured continued service delivery and to the same expected standards as pre-COVID. And certainly it's something that's why we're very much committed to working with them. And certainly their message was resounding to us when we speak and survey that they want and need that flexibility forward, and very much we're committed, as are our clients, in ensuring that we can sustain that now as we continue forward together.
Thanks, Aisling. But I guess just with regard from the HR function, I suppose what I would say is that to us, it has shown great benefit, you know, to go out to the marketplace with this offering of a permanent working from home solution. And for our people here in Abtran who are working from home, it gives them the security and the comfort of knowing this is a permanent arrangement for me now, without that uncertainty of what's going to happen on the 22nd of October. So I think that has been a great morale booster also to our current team. But thank you.
Yeah, and just to finish off on that, I think the last slide there, Niamh, I suppose for us it kind of just comes back to, certainly this is something that we're committed to sustaining as we continue forward. Certainly for us, I think the jobs market, to be honest, is mandating it. I think the flexibility is there now for our people, and if we don't offer it forward, they will look at alternative options. So certainly, as Noreen mentioned earlier, it certainly made an impact on retention, but also obviously attracting more talent into our business as well, by needing and then making it available to not just new positions but to our existing workforce. And I think it goes back to, I think all of us can even connect with, you know, some of the challenges with quality of life. We need to be competitive globally. We're an Irish business, but we know that to stay competitive in a global market, and with some particularly, I suppose, digital only entrants that have come into our sector, that working model has probably been there pre-COVID. So it was a journey that we already were on as a business. It was always on our strategic priority and plans. We had already been making quite an amount of investment in all things technology enablement, moving to digital, and investing in a lot of, I suppose, adapting and evolving our performance management methods and framework and controls. And certainly we definitely leveraged them when we relied on them last year on into this year. But fundamentally, I think it's supporting our people. I think certainly as fundamentally a people-based services business, needing to make that and really leverage it for what it can give back to our people in just a change in their lifestyle and quality of life, just where they can work, how they can work, just even for part-time options, that it makes it worth their while because they're removing the time and cost of travel. They can choose where they want to live. They're in proximity of maybe a family network that they didn't have access to when they were having to relocate into areas that we had sites. And certainly from our perspective as the employer, certainly for us to be able to stay competitive in being able to retain and attract talent for ourselves, but ultimately that's something that we know our clients obviously have a key focus and value on as well. We see this as a necessary way forward for the business and our people. So thank you all.
Thanks a million, Aisling, Brian and Noreen. We've a good few questions in, so I'm gonna kick off with them if that's okay. So the first one comes from Michael. How do you manage quality given users are probably working across residential broadband without SLAs? So I don't know who wants to take that one first.
And I'll take that one. I mean, let's face it, I'm working from home today on residential.
Maybe Noreen, if you want to come in and support me then, but this, I suppose, it comes back to.
Yeah, I suppose from my perspective, we looked at this very much, I guess, and we sought advice from our IT team as to what is required. So in our work from home policy, we have the very specifics of what it is you need in order to work from home. A person who doesn't have, I suppose, that doesn't meet that requirement, may have to, work on site then in that instance. But we haven't had anybody as of yet who hasn't been able to work from home as a result of it. I think back in 2020 when everybody was suddenly working from home, there were teething problems, and then we haven't actually lost any potential candidates in the recruitment process for it. And we do have people who rather come on site because their home setting doesn't suit them to work from home. They mightn't have a room in the house where they can work in privacy, etc. So there are people that choose the preference for that reason, but it hasn't been an issue for us.
Thanks, Noreen. Brian, did you want to come in on that briefly?
Yeah. No, I think Noreen said most of it there, but I mean, I'm working from home today with residential broadband,
Yeah.
And it's working perfectly. And it has done for the last year and a half, in fairness.
Great, brilliant. Okay, next question, and we only have about 5 minutes left. So a lot of CRM BPO customers are concerned with the loss of organic coaching and learning opportunities that agents working in contact center experience throughout the working day. Is this a concern shared by Abtran, and have you identified a way to address this? That's from Brent.
Yeah, Dorothy, I think, we're very aware of that the learning experience, and just being we're very conscious of new people when they come on board. I suppose when people come on board in Abtran, they have their training into the operation, and then we have what we call grad bay, which is a period of time defined by the operation and the complexity of the functions in the operation. And I guess, when people were on site, we had people on the floor, so you'd put your hand up, if you were stuck, if you were on a call, you were stuck, etc. So we've been bridging the gap in having dedicated trainers assigned to each class who are available to those classes as they transition into, working solo and going out solo, as it were. So we're very conscious and aware of that, for the person that is working from home. We're also contemplating, once all of the restrictions have been lifted, in having a blended onboarding cycle whereby people who can, will have some element of their training on site, and but those people who can't, we have very strong training. We have a big learning and development team here. We've very good systems, very good training programs. So we're on top of that all the time. But key to that is, as part of our new induction process, is we're engaging with people at different stages of the onboarding. So very early on, how was your first week? Is it working? Do you feel you're being supported? And through the different phases of it, because only the people receiving that training and development can tell us really, if it's working for them. So it's about engaging with them throughout the process.
Yeah, I might come in on that as well if I can be heard. Okay, I'm not sure if my audio is working correctly, but I think perfect. Yeah, just to add to that, I think, as Noreen was saying, we absolutely had to completely adapt the ways and means of training, and I think that it's more how it continues after the kind of early new hire or induction experience, how it continues thereafter, and really that additional sessions, albeit still virtual in a lot of cases, within the team, but across teams, to enable that communication, but that sharing kind of know-how that that comes out more organically as you continue on the job. But very much for us, we are mindful of work from home over the long term. And so very much for us, that's kind of mentioned that we're moving and trying to establish presence in a much more distributed way across Ireland with small regional hubs, as we refer to them, because we do think it's important. And it is a condition no different to, I suppose, needing the necessary broadband. If you want to work from home by contract, you obviously need to come with a certain amount. Like, we can put a certain amount in place, but I think anybody who wants to work from home over the long term takes that seriously and comes with ensuring that they're meeting, I suppose, what's needed from their side. But very much part of it for us is that we do say, even in our contracts and policies, that we do want mechanisms for having team members to come on site on occasion, and we'll work and we'll continue to work with our people to make sure it works for both sides. But we will want and need to see them, as they will us, and that we have, we get better proximity to wherever they might be in smaller centres, and that regional kind of hub connectivity, so that we can get people connected and do more of that kind of over time, I suppose, continuous improvement. And really it's through that sharing of practices and best practice and know-how.
Perfect.
So,
thanks, Aisling. I might just put this question. I'm conscious we've literally only 4 minutes left to Brian. Brian, are people using the offices for other activities?
And we continue to change, I think, and adapt.
Sorry,
when you say other activities, Dorothy, I'm not too sure what the question is.
I suppose this person is just asking, have you repurposed your offices? Are you doing any other activities in them, or do you have a lot of, what are you doing with that space currently, or what do you envisage doing with it if there's a lot of remote working, obviously?
Well, I think there's a short-term solution to this, and there's a longer-term question, really. The short-term, with the social distancing, we have ensured that all of the agents, whereas prior to this would have been closer to each other, but that the 2-meter social distancing is now probably taking up an awful lot more space. And we have spread those teams out very, very consciously across the floors that have been there at present. But I think longer term, it may throw up the opportunity of freeing up some of the space and reinvesting that elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think there's a short-term need for that within the social distancing at the moment.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just on that again, if I can be heard okay, that the as Brian is saying, because I think certainly we spoke earlier, I think that during, I suppose, some of the higher risk periods, we very much were pretty much 90% fully working from home with very small presence on site. That has kind of brought itself back more to around 70-75%. Continuing working from home with more around the 20-25% on site, and depending on the nature of the activity and or then people's preference, because as Noreen mentioned, it wasn't for everybody, and their work place at home wasn't fit for purpose and had a preference to be on site, so we've accommodated that. But at the moment, because of social distancing, we have ourselves nicely spread out on our sites to make sure that people are comfortable in the workplace, and we're adhering to the necessary protocols for distancing. But definitely, obviously, it's something that we have to now continue to adapt and consider. But even with the footprint that we have, you will see that we have repurposed some of our areas into more collaborative working spaces, because we do see that when people are on site, it'll be more to collaborate and connect than just coming on site to sit at their own desk. So we're on a journey there of changing and adapting in a number of different ways. And certainly growth, we can always grow into the facility footprint we have as well overall.
Brilliant. Thanks a million. The clock is against us, guys. Obviously wanted to very much thank Brian, Noreen and Aisling for your time this morning, and thank you to all of the participants for all your questions. A copy of the presentation and a copy of the recording will be available. The recording normally takes us a couple of days, so we'll have it there on Monday most likely. Just in terms of some housekeeping things, just to let you know, we have a series of workshops, some of them related to our discussion this morning, that are available to members in the coming weeks and months. Some are on customer experience, so a series of 3 really valuable workshops that all of the information are on our website, so please have a look at that. We also, back to in terms of managing a hybrid team, we have a workshop beginning at the end of actually the 29th of September, which is on managing our hybrid team. And we have a series, again, in that case, of 6 workshops about managing and leadership and coaching. So again, it might be of interest. We're in the middle of the awards season. The closing date for entries was Wednesday. So thanks to everybody who sent in the submissions. I'm getting a lot of questions about what will the ceremony be like. And unfortunately, I still don't know. We really are hoping to have a hybrid event between a live and a recorded event, but we're really delayed by good old Tourism Ireland giving us guidelines and the hotel's guidelines as to what will be allowed or not. But as soon as we know, we will let you know. And at this point in time, the date is Friday, the 19th of November, but I'll come back to all of you on that. But can I just say again to all of the team in Abtran, great to see you all and good to hear from our membership in Cork. And I know if anybody has any further questions, I'm sure they can reach out to Aisling and all the team via LinkedIn or drop me an email and I can share your contact details. So
Great.
Thanks and have a lovely weekend. See you all soon.
Thanks, Dorothy. Thanks, Niamh. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, Steve.